All right, let's jump right into this explainer. We're unpacking what was frankly an absolutely thrilling Group K showdown. Picture this, it's the 2026 World Cup, under the bright lights in Houston, and Portugal, decked out all in red, is delivering a relentless masterclass in football history against Uzbekistan. Now, we aren't just going to look at the final score today. No, we're going to break down the sheer anatomy of this total blowout, zeroing in on the exact moments that define the match to really understand how dominance is constructed on the pitch.
Now, heading into this matchup, the narrative was, well, it was heavy. You've got this towering figure in the middle of the pitch, and everyone watching knows the farewell tour is approaching. But, as the commentary so perfectly put it, the farewell may be approaching, but the legend is definitely not finished yet. The hunger out there was still incredibly palpable.
And this number brilliantly illustrates exactly why that legend is still being written. 6. By finding the back of the net in this match, Ronaldo cemented a truly historic milestone. He became the first player ever to score in 6 different World Cups. 6! Just let that sink in for a second. We're talking about decades of staying at the absolute pinnacle of a sport that is famously unforgiving to aging bodies. It literally redefines our entire understanding of athletic longevity. To really grasp the sheer momentum of this match, we have to look at the escalating timeline of Portugal's relentless attack. Because they didn't just win, they completely overwhelmed. It's like a giant puzzle coming together in 4 distinct phases. Phase 1 kicks off with Nuno Mendes just drilling the ball in. Then, Phase 2, the historic moment. Ronaldo announces his arrival. Phase 3 is where things get super gritty, resulting in the scruffiest goal of the match. And finally, Phase 4 is the ultimate exclamation point, with Rafael Leao smashing in number 5.
So let's get right into the anatomy of this attack and see how they dismantled the defense.
What's fascinating is the stark contrast in how Portugal actually scored. On one hand, you've got pure clinical precision. Nuno Mendes taking the ball and cleanly, forcefully, just drilling it in. It's textbook, right? It's beautiful. But on the flip side, we see this gritty persistence. The team manages to essentially smuggle the ball through the defense. It's this wild duality between a clean, perfect strike and the chaotic sheer willpower required for their later goals. And honestly, that duality is exactly what makes a team truly dangerous.
Of course, you can't score if you don't have the ball, right? Well, Portugal pressed, and I mean they pressed aggressively. Players like Cancelo were deeply involved in this absolutely suffocating press. They weren't just sitting back waiting for Uzbekistan to make a mistake. They were forcing those mistakes by applying relentless pressure incredibly high up the pitch.
And, all that suffocating pressure, it absolutely pays off. The momentum radically shifts as Ronaldo secures his historic goal. The commentary captured the vibe perfectly. Cristiano Ronaldo has announced his arrival here. It's that unbelievable moment where the theoretical threat of his presence becomes a very tangible reality on the scoreboard. It proved to everyone in Houston and the entire world that his legendary status remains completely intact.
Let's shift gears to this idea of relentless momentum, and honestly, some pretty scruffy goals. If we isolate the specific actions in this sequence, it's wild to see how sheer persistence created this goal. Let's walk through the steps. It starts with João Felix winning the ball back. There's that aggressive press again. The ball is lifted over Ronaldo. Actually, the defense makes a save, but it doesn't end there. Ronaldo immediately closes down. He's literally juggling the ball inside the box. And finally, it goes in. People wildly described it as one of the scruffiest goals yet, but hey, on the scoreboard, a scruffy goal counts exactly the same as a spectacular one.
Smuggle it through. I just love that phrase. It paints such a vivid picture of a team that simply refused to stop pushing forward, no matter how messy that penalty box got. It's all about forcing the ball past the opposition through gritty, chaotic physical play rather than, clean tactical execution. It shows a team that's more than willing to roll up their sleeves and do the dirty work.
And that brings us to our 5-star finale.
Check out this incredibly fluid passing sequence that led to the final strike. It's like poetry in motion. Chimardo plays it infield, over to Bruno Fernandes. Fernandes gets his head up, he's looking to find Ronaldo, but the dynamic flow of the play sees the ball end up coming the way of Rafael Leao instead. And Leao, he makes absolutely no mistakes, smashing in number 5. It's just a brilliant sequence of clinical team awareness. Now, you'd probably think that up 5-0, a team would just, pack it in and wait for the whistle. No way. Even in the dying moments of a total blowout, the commentary notes, still time for one last goal, Ronaldo wants it. He was actively, aggressively hunting for a hat trick right up to the very last second. Talk about an absolutely insatiable hunger.
Eventually, though, time does run out. The final whistle blows in Houston, cementing a definitive 5-0 victory for Portugal over Uzbekistan. We're talking a clean sheet at the back and 5 very different, very telling goals up front. It showcased the whole shebang, from clinical drilling to aggressive pressing, right down to gritty smuggling.
Which really leaves us with one profound question. If a player is aggressively hunting for a hat-trick in the dying minutes of a 5-0 blowout in his record-breaking 6th World Cup, what does that tell us about the mindset required to achieve sporting immortality? It tells us that greatness isn't just about pure talent. It's about a relentless, almost obsessive drive that literally never turns off, no matter what the scoreboard says. It's what turns great players into absolute legends. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and definitely keep that mindset in mind the next time you watch these incredible athletes take the pitch.